In this lecture, we're going to have a look at why it is necessary to test and automate the Magic MA EA and what kind of strategies we can use to do this testing. Now, there are many reasons why you'd want to test and automate an EA. Firstly, you might be considering the EA for live trading. You might only want to create a reference point, which is only one part of your evaluation process. You might also just want to get to know the EA and how it works. It's always good to find settings that worked in the past, and also the testing process should show you how robust the EA is. Can it be successful with a number of settings? It will also give you a good idea of the impact of filters and result enhancers. So let's design a testing and optimization strategy. There's various ways that people use to test and optimize the EAs. The first one, which is used quite often, is the random intuition-based method. What a trader would do using this method is they would say, you know, I don't like Fridays, I don't like trading on Fridays, so I won't trade this EA on a Friday. I like the US session, so I'll only trade it in the US session. And I like moving averages of about 21 or so I'll use 21 as a number. And I like taking profits at about 30 pips. And I like trading with a stop loss of 50. And I don't really like using trailing stops. So the trader would use those aspects and create a strategy from that. They would test those settings that they've used and find, oh, they either work or they don't. If they don't work, they might try some other settings, and so on a random basis they will eventually try and find settings that they are comfortable with personally. That's the one approach, and obviously not too scientific. The second approach is the complete test approach. So what these testers would do is they would test every single possibility that exists simultaneously. So in other words, they would say, let's test all the days of the week, all the hours during the day, all possible moving average settings, all possible take profits, all stop losses, and all trading stop alternatives, all at the same time. Now what then happens is that they create so many alternatives that it will take the computer days and days to churn out the best results. And I'll give you an example of that, and I'm just going to activate some of the options that we have here. In fact, I'll activate all of the options that we have and give you an idea of what's involved there. And I'll say OK, and then I'll say optimize, and we'll start. Now what will happen is the system will evaluate that and say, hang on, there's 5 million options that you're trying to evaluate here, and it'll give us feedback, and it'll also say, look, it's going to take me 3 days or 4 days to do these options. So there we go. This one has 989 million options I've just created by ticking all the options of this this EA, and it says that it's going to take, I think that's 43 days to do those options. Now you can do it faster using the generic algorithm, but your results are still going to be skewed in one way or the other, and you'll take a huge amount of time. So we can stop that activity now, and let's go back to our expert input area. So the other approach is to use consistently improving approach. So you would look at this EA and say the most important settings on this EA are the moving average settings. What should the period be and what should be the offset be? So you would then test those quite thoroughly and come up with either one or a couple of EA settings that are nicely positive. You would then say, all right, from now on, let's use the filters to try and improve the results that we've got to date. And you would then systematically go through the various filters. You might look at a take profit target, optimize for the take profit target, optimize for a stop loss, optimize for a trailing stop, optimize for the day of the week, optimize for the time of day, that kind of approach. So you'd systematically do that, and you wouldn't have these millions of alternatives. You'd only have a number of alternatives at at a time. And in fact, that is what we're going to be doing with this particular EA. It is most probably not the most efficient way, but it does also involve the trader in some intellectual aspects, in that they have to make some decisions or think about what this EA actually does. So there's the intuition basis, there's the totally testing basis, and then you have your guys in the middle that basically use a more middle of the road approach and optimize systematically by iterations. For this particular course, I'm going to use the middle of the road approach. Certainly, if you are competent at these things, you can do a comprehensive test and see how those particular results compare with the middle of the road approach. So let's move on to the testing.